In this video, we will take a look at how we can create rectangular patterns of features in Autodesk Inventor. To start with, I have a rectangular extrusion with a circular extrusion cutting through it, and I want to pattern this hole throughout this plate. On the 3D Model tab in the Pattern panel, I will find Rectangular. I'll begin by selecting this command. Then in the dialog box here, you can see that I can either do individual features or I can do entire solid bodies if I want. I'll stick with features to begin with, and it's now ready for me to select my features. I can either select them from the model browser or from my drawing screen here. I'll select the whole. Next, we need to specify a direction. So I'll select direction 1 arrow. And I want to create a row of these, so I'm going to select an edge here. I don't want to select a plane. I want to select an edge so that way it knows I want to go left and right on this part here. Now you can see the preview of the second one here. So I can tell it how many I want. Let's say I want 5 of these on this particular location. And then I can indicate the spacing between them. So you can see it's currently set to 1. If I went down to something smaller like 3/4, you can see the difference there. Then maybe I can bump up how many I can fit on this plate. I can also go from spacing to distance. With distance, this value that we put in is now the entire distance. So if I had, for example, 4 inches and I wanted to put 6 of them in there, it will automatically do the math to figure out the spacing between them to keep them even. We also have another option for curve length. We'll look at that in just a few minutes. So again, I can either do the spacing in between them or I can do the entire spacing, whichever I want to go with. I'm going to go back to 5 and 1 here. Now if all I want to do is create one row, I'm done. I can go ahead and click OK, and I've got my series of features here. But if I also wanted to create multiple rows, I can do that as well. I'll edit this feature and then add a direction 2. And I'll go ahead and pick the line in this direction. As you can see, it's going the wrong way. It's trying to pull them off the part, so I have a flip arrow here to flip that in the other direction. And then very similarly, I can put in how many rows I want, and then the spacing between them, where I can adjust the way that I put in the spacing again. Click OK, and I now have my pattern. We have the ability to suppress features as well. If I expand my rectangular pattern, I will see all the individual occurrences along this plate. So let's say that we didn't want the very center hole. I can right-click on that occurrence and suppress it. And as you can see, it's gone from the pattern. Of course, these are all parametric, so if I were to go back and edit the original hole and adjust its size, then all the other holes will update. Next, we'll take a look at one of the options in the rectangular pattern tool. As you can see, I've got an extrusion here. It's no longer flat, it has an angled shape, and I have a hole cutting through it. If I edit the hole, I can see that I use the through all option here to cut through the entire part. I'm going to go ahead and set my visual style to show hidden edges so that we can see those shapes in there. I'm going to go ahead and create another pattern just like I did in the previous example. So rectangular pattern, I'll select the feature. I'll select direction 1 here, and we'll say we want 5 of them again with 1 inch between. And we'll choose direction 2 again, flip it, and say that we want 3 rows this way. Then I will go ahead and click OK. Now if you take a look at the hidden lines here, you can see what actually happened is it literally took this hole and the way it was terminated and patterned that throughout the part. Well, that wasn't really my intention. I wanted the holes to continue cutting through. So I'm going to edit feature on this pattern. Select the More button down at the bottom here. Then in the Compute section, instead of Identical, I'm going to set that to Adjust. Then click OK. Now you can see that feature adjusted for the model, and I now have a series of holes that cut completely through the part. When we think about rectangular pattern, it's easy to think just strictly rectangular, horizontal, and vertical. But rectangular pattern can be used to go along any direction. So here I have a hole and I have a sketched series of arcs here, and I want the hole to pattern along those arcs. So I'll choose my rectangular pattern, select my features, then select my direction. As you can see, it's going the wrong way, so I'm going to flip it. And now we have the same options that we had with the straight lines. We can tell it how many we want. There you can see it's coming off the end there, so I'll go with 5. We can tell it how much space between each one that we want, or we can set it for the entire distance and type in the distance that I want to use to distribute these within. But in my case, I want to evenly distribute them amongst this curve. That is where we use the curve length option. So if I select the curve length option, it's going to evenly divide it. You can see the spacing that it computed here. I'll go ahead and click OK, and there you can see my holes that follow the path. Again, I can edit it, adjust my numbers if I want, and it will update. That concludes this look at creating rectangular patterns of features in Autodesk Inventor.